Right now on the National Weather Desk, heavy rain and hail pound Texas as a slow-moving system moves east. We'll see where it's heading next.
All of that gradually shifts to the east.
And do you know what to do if you're in the path of severe weather?
When you hear the clap of thunder, it is strongly advised to head indoors.
Spring allergy season. Why is it happening earlier and lasting longer?
Trees are already in full bloom. And last year, I think, was the worst allergic season I've ever seen in 30 years.
And it's time to get out and start planting. Tips on what you can do to have a successful spring garden.
If you're in a cold climate area and you're a new gardener, be aware that you have a window of time.
From our nation's capital, this is the National Weather Desk.
Good morning and welcome to the National Weather Desk. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Strong storms ripped through Texas last night as a slow-moving system moved eastward. These are the scenes our storm chaser Brett Adair captured near Austin Tuesday afternoon. The storm brought heavy rain, high winds, and large hail to the area. And a handful of tornado warnings and several severe thunderstorm warnings were issued across the region. But there were no reports of any major damage or injury. And this was the scene 200 miles southwest in the town of Palestine, Texas. A tornado watch was issued for the area yesterday as strong winds and heavy rains blasted the area. At one point, the visibility on the I-45 corridor was near zero. The storm system is still in the south today and slowly moving eastward. Meteorologist David Glenn is tracking that system for us.
During the day Wednesday, all of that gradually shifts to the east, so a higher potential. We're looking at a level 2, 3, and even 4 risk down along portions of the Gulf Coast, a little bit less the farther inland you go. So the best risk factor is Wednesday night. By Thursday, a little bit weaker, but still watching this along the Carolina coastline and down across the Florida coastline. Now, as far as the severe chance, we're also watching for excessive rainfall, where again, within those storms, heavy downpours of rain and repeated rounds could start adding up. Anywhere from, say, Jackson, over around south of Montgomery, south of Mobile, and just right along the Gulf coastal area on Wednesday. By Thursday, all of that shifts off to the east. But in the wake of all of that, along with the severe threat, you look at this rainfall adding up. The highest amounts could be portions of Arkansas back to Mississippi, but even amounts close to the Gulf Coast, 2 to 3 inches. And by all means, remember flooding safety, turn around, don't drown.
And the National Weather Service confirmed that a total of 5 tornadoes touched down during severe storms in West Virginia last week. That's more than double the state's annual average. The state saw an average of 2 tornadoes per year from 1993 to 2022. The most ever recorded in one year was 15 back in 1998. And a state of emergency has been declared in southern Russia after the worst flooding ever recorded in the region. More than 10,000 residential buildings have been evacuated, and residents could be evacuated in the coming days. As Isa Soares explains, much of the flooding is caused by snowmelt due to warm weather.
Catastrophic flooding and thousands of lives appended across several regions in Russia, forcing many to evacuate with just their pets and a handful of belongings. At least 3 people are reported to have died so far. Authorities declared a state of emergency in the Orenburg region near Kazakhstan, after the Ural, Europe's 3rd longest river, swelled several meters and burst through a dam embankment in Orsk, a city of more than 200,000 residents. The city mayor said the flood has now peaked, according to Russian state news agency TASS. And the Kremlin spokesperson described the deluge in these regions as inevitable due to an abnormal increase in water levels. Across the border in Kazakhstan, the country's president said the floods were his country's worst natural disaster in decades. In Russia, the country's emergency situations minister flew over some of the flooded zones on Tuesday to inspect the damage. And over in the Kurgan region, melting ice and torrential rains caused another river to overflow. This is not a joke, the regional governor says bluntly. Leave, take your papers, valuables, children, elderly relatives with limited mobility. You need to do this now, he says. Flood waters in Kurgan are expected to rise even higher over the next 48 hours.
We now head to Conway, South Carolina, where one of the state's earliest blooming spring crops is thriving and attracting customers of all ages. Emma Parkhouse has more.
Lynn's Berries, a family-friendly farm in Conway, has been growing their business and their berries with their hearts for decades.
Welcome down!
Welcoming locals and visitors to their You Pick Strawberry experience every spring.
This farm has been a blessing to all of us. The You Pick, we see families come out, young and old. Anybody can pick a strawberry.
Local families like the Darkangelos and Trions are already picking up some berries.
They love strawberries, so they love coming out, picking them themselves, helping make, desserts and foods at home, so it's always a good time to come out.
I like them, and they're good and juicy and wet, so we can make strawberry shortcake.
I want to have strawberries so we can eat them plain because they're delicious, and also so we can make strawberry muffins.
Yes. And we can make strawberry smoothies.
You Pick farms like Lynn's Berries are part of the Palmetto State's growing agritourism industry. Agritourism presents local farmers with the opportunity to educate the public about farming, encouraging outdoor activities, and brings in some pretty sweet revenue. The newly released Census of Agriculture shows between 2017 and 2022, farm income from agritourism in South Carolina grew from $6.2 million to $14 million.
Supporting local farms are we love doing that. They're fresh, they're wonderful, so we just love coming out and having the kids involved in it and seeing how they farm and what they need to do to care for the fields.
Hammond says they always want to make their berries available for everyone.
It's gotten a little bit more challenging because everything has gone up, like everybody knows, fertilizer. So we work at it really hard to keep it down, the prices down.
The total solar eclipse has come and gone, but do you still have eclipse glasses and aren't sure what to do with them? Natalie Casaltoni has some tips on what you can do with those glasses.
This basket, sitting in the garden center of Bercola Tree and Lawn Care, is filling up fast.
We picked up about probably 80 already.
Brandon King says it's a drop-off site for anyone willing to donate their eclipse glasses. Rotary District 7120, which covers the Rochester Finger Lakes region, wants to send them halfway across the globe.
Ultimate destination will be in South America to go to school groups for their next eclipse event. Over 1 million glasses are ordered in Monroe County alone, so there's going to be so much waste, so hopefully they can put them to use.
Paula Vieira from Sun King says, if you don't donate your eclipse glasses, make sure they don't end up in a landfill.
A good portion of it is cardboard, so it is reusable and can be made into other items. So we won't recycle them in-house, but we will get them to the right place. We have downstream vendors who will recycle different forms of cardboard to be made and reused into boxes, probably for more electronics.
Vieira says there's even an added benefit.
With Earth Day coming up, we actually want to promote reuse and recycling.
If you missed seeing Monday's total solar eclipse in person, you'll have more chances in the future, but it may not be very convenient. The next total solar eclipse is in about 2 years on August 12th, 2026. That path of totality is over western Greenland, far eastern Iceland, and finally northern Spain. There will be another one on August 2nd, 2027. That's for portions of Africa, North Africa, and the Middle East will be in the path of totality. The next solar eclipse visible in the United States will appear in parts of Alaska, and that's in 2033. In 2044, one will be visible in North Dakota and Montana, but the best opportunity will be in 21 years. On August 12th, 2045, a total solar eclipse travels coast to coast again from Northern California to Florida. Among the cities that will be in the totality are Reno, Salt Lake City, Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Orlando, and Fort Lauderdale. Little Rock will also be in the path just like it was on Monday. And this is the last time anyone is going to see this. The final launch of a Delta rocket happened yesterday at Cape Canaveral Space Station. This Delta IV Heavy rocket is carrying a classified satellite for the National Reconnaissance Office. The Delta family of rockets have been in service since about the 1960s. And a cool fact about the Delta rocket, it actually sets itself on fire before blasting off. And coming up on the National Weather Desk, we'll look at why allergy season is happening sooner and lasting longer year after year. Plus, tips to help you create the perfect spring garden.
I'm meteorologist Charlie Lopresti with a look at the Northeast. We have some wet weather moving into the Northeast. First, it comes in showers today. That's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We'll get another round that moves in on Thursday. There'll be some drizzle that mixes in, and there will be some fog at night. This round is moving in during the early afternoon. The heaviest rainfall, that will be reserved for Friday morning. That's about 8 a.m. there. Looks like most of the Northeast will probably pick up another inch of rain right through the end of the week.
I'm Chief Meteorologist Gerard Jabali. Here's a look at the Mid-Atlantic region. We're looking at good chances for some showers as we head into later on today. I'd say a few will be around, but it will not rain all day long. But the best chance of rain is coming late into Thursday, and that will linger all the way into your Friday as well. All right, Wednesday is still looking pretty warm, though. We're going to be hitting the 70s, no problem. A few degrees cooler as we move into Thursday with some rain moving in. We'll cool temperatures down to around the low 70s.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Charlotte Carl. High temperatures this afternoon. Ahead of that frontal boundary, we'll get into the 80s, 70s along the Carolina coastline, 60s in the northern part of our area. That front is going to continue to develop ahead of this low pressure system. You can see that comma cloud formation, that comma shape. This would be the tail of the comma as it heads into Georgia, South Alabama, and the Panhandle by Thursday overnight, bringing a risk of severe weather to the southeast Wednesday and Thursday.
The National Weather Desk.
Welcome back. As temperatures rise, you may consider building your own garden. If you don't have much space or you don't have much of a green thumb, never fear. Emily Gracie recently spoke to a gardening expert about how to get started with growing your own vegetables.
If you're new to gardening, one of the easiest projects you can involve yourself in is just container gardening. And one of the reasons for that is that you've got a smaller project to handle.
Okay, any specifics? Are we talking herbs or vegetables or fruits?
For some of the easiest beginner type of veggies to grow, there's all kinds of lettuces. I'd love to make a mesclun bowl because especially as summer comes, you want to have some of those salads. Carrots. You can actually grow carrots in the container too. Just make sure that it's a taller container, at least like 8 inches tall.
Okay, so tell me about different regions and what grows best in different places.
If you're in a cold climate area and you're a new gardener, be aware that you have a window of time that you will be able to grow your plants from start to harvest. So if you only have say 5 frost-free months, then when you go, if you're going to start growing from seed, or even if you buy the plants already started, look for varieties that are short harvest windows. Do a little investigating. It's pretty simple and you'll become an expert in no time.
Okay, so let's say you put your stuff in the ground and then, surprise, there's another frost coming. Is there anything you can do to save the plants that you've already transferred outside if there is going to be that sudden extreme change in weather?
Right. Those unexpected frosts, we all have to be ready for them, even though we don't want them to come. So one of the things that I always have on hand are what they call these frost blankets. And when it's expected to be frost, you take them outside, you cover the plant with it, you put that on in the evening or around 5 or 6 o'clock so that it could just keep in some of the warmth for the rest of the day. And then in the morning, you want to open it up so that it gets sunshine again.
Shirley also had some great tips about how to tell if your plants are getting enough water. Head over to YouTube to see the longer version of this interview. Just search the National Weather Desk. And if you've been out working in your garden and noticed your allergies are worse than usual, you are not alone. Medical reporter Liz Bonus shares what's making this particular bad allergy season.
It's been worse, I guess, these past few weeks. I think the weather changing so much.
Yep, blame it on the weather. A warm, wet, early spring across much of the country has many feeling what Danielle Marshall and Christy Swartzmith noticed recently.
Usually some nasal drippage, my eyes, get a little bit of grossness in there, a little bit of mucus, and it's always a gamble on which nostril will work when I wake up.
Well, it sure looks beautiful this time of year. It's now estimated 1 in 4 of us are reacting to airborne irritants. The pollen and mold can irritate your immune system and make your sinuses feel inflamed.
Similar to last year, trees are already in full bloom. And last year, I think, was the worst allergic season I've ever seen in 30 years. Lots of chronic upper respiratory tract congestion, lots of rashes, especially eczema.
Dr. Scott Woods is a family medicine specialist at Ohio's Tri-Health. He says if over-the-counter medications aren't helping you ease the misery,
I get the double hit. So spring is horrible, summer I get a reprieve, and then the fall tends to be my worst too with mold.
ask your doctor about prescription medications to help control symptoms. And if those don't work, you may have an extreme allergy to the outside covering or the shell on plants with pollen, which means you may need immunotherapy. These sort of calm down your reaction to triggers. There are pills for grass, ragweed, and dust, but if trees are what bug you, you still may need allergy shots.
This is definitely a primary care issue and can usually be addressed with 1 or sometimes 2 medicines. There certainly are a few people who are very allergic and will require multiple therapies.
Now, spring isn't just allergy and gardening season. It's also when we are most likely to see severe storms. Meteorologist Emily Santum looks at how you can be prepared and stay safe should you be in the path of dangerous spring weather.
Here's the reality. The odds of being struck by lightning in a given year are low. The CDC says it's less than 1 in a million, and thankfully, almost 90% of those victims survive. But there are things to keep in mind when it comes to thunderstorms. Lightning and thunder are paired together, and light travels much faster than sound. It takes 5 seconds for thunder to be heard a mile away from the lightning strike zone. It can generally be heard up to 10 miles away, meaning when you hear the clap of thunder, it is strongly advised to head indoors. Sometimes lightning can be seen without thunder. This is often referred to as heat lightning, which occurs when a thunderstorm is too far away, but folks can still see the lightning. Lightning is extremely dangerous and comes with many risks. If you get caught outside in a storm, try to find some indoor shelter. But stay away from electrical cords, as almost 1/3 of lightning strike injuries occur indoors. And don't engage in water-related activities or outdoor sports either, as those can be unsafe. Remember to stay in shelter for 30 minutes after the previous sound of thunder, as it could save your life. Also interesting to know, according to the CDC, men are about 4 times more likely than women to get struck by lightning. And lightning strikes actually cause more deaths on the weekend, specifically on Saturday. I'm meteorologist Emily Santum.
Now, if you head to the beach, this is the time of the year you're most likely to see horseshoe crabs. But these days, they are harder to find than ever before. Simon Williams looks at what's causing the decline and the impact it could have on medical procedures.
They've been through every 500 million years of changes. But I feel like it's the pace of the change that really takes them out.
Dr. Eric Roche, senior lecturer of marine science at Coastal Carolina University, explains it's the pace of several changes, like coastal construction, pollution, and habitat loss. Declining numbers have a direct impact on us because of a process called bleeding.
The main reason why we get the blood from these animals is to get extract from one of their specialized immune cells called an amoebocyte.
In simpler terms, their blood has a unique cell incredibly sensitive to any pathogen, bacteria, or endotoxin.
It would be like filling a pool with sand and being able to pick out the 1 grain of sand that doesn't belong in that pool. That's how sensitive it is.
The blood is put on a syringe, scalpel, pill, any object that is going into our body, and it's testing if that object is sterile.
And it doesn't coagulate, doesn't form a little jelly thing, then it's clear, it's good, and you can put it in the human body and you don't have to worry as much about infection or anything like that.
A valuable resource, which is why Roche says labs leave some blood in the crab and let them recover before releasing them where they were captured. All efforts to maintain the balance of our beaches.
In an ecosystem, you pull that one card out. Well, in the case of horseshoe crabs, you pull that one card out, it affects a lot of different things.
And now time for a short break, but first we soar over Glen Lake in Michigan.
Well, a good Wednesday morning, everyone. I'm meteorologist Andrew Buckmichael. Today, got some scattered showers and rain across the Ohio Valley and to the Tennessee Valley, but we're looking pretty quiet across most of the plains. Now, tomorrow, that rain lifts its way a little bit north, including the potential for some severe storms across the Ohio Valley, but the Great Lakes still dealing with a lot of that rain for tomorrow. It does slowly try to move its way east on Friday, but look at all the sunshine you're going to have out across the plains with mild temperatures.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. Here's a look at your regional weather. A little nippy. You should get up there to Warren Amarillo. 39 degrees, some storms into Oklahoma, as well as out in Houston, sunshine breaking out toward San Antonio. Cold fronts will be pushing toward the north and northeast. That'll bring some big, serious rain and some storms back up into Mississippi and Alabama. Otherwise, temperatures back in the region will start to warm up to spring-like levels. I'm meteorologist Alex Garcia. That's a look at your regional weather.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Rebecca Stevenson. Here's what's happening across the West. Our temperatures continue to heat up in California, Nevada, and Arizona. We're even warming up a little more in the Pacific Northwest, even though we get a quick cool down coming in on Thursday. But much of the West is quiet and calm thanks to high pressure building in. With the warm temperatures and plenty of sunshine, that's the scene from here.
Presented by the National Weather Desk.
By now, you've seen plenty of shots of the eclipse. Here are a few unique ones we found. This shows a jet briefly blocking part of the sun left over during the partial eclipse at that location. The side of this home was covered in crescent-shaped shadows from a tree, while crescent-shaped shadows beaming through window blinds creates a coil-like appearance on a wooden floor.
Listen to Off the Radar. New episodes every Tuesday. Find it wherever you get your podcasts.
Now let's check to see the weather in cities across the country today. First, we begin in New Orleans, where there is a risk of severe weather. Strong winds and thunderstorms are possible, along with hail and the chance for tornadoes. If you're in the area, make sure that you are prepared. Next, we have a look here at the Chicago skyline. A mix of sun and clouds and sun during the morning will give way to cloudy skies with this afternoon with highs in the low 60s. And heading over to Syracuse, New York, where things are rainy today with highs in the mid-60s. And finally, a look here at St. Augustine, Florida, where there is a mix of sun and clouds with highs in the upper 70s. And we should mention that the National Weather Service says there is a high risk for rip currents today in St. Augustine. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm meteorologist Mark Pena. Make it a great Wednesday, and we'll see you right back here tomorrow.